All right. Hi, guys. What's going on? I'm going to keep this one real quick. I just want to briefly go over the peer review and also the last few assignments, just what we have coming down the pipe here in the next couple days, because we are pretty much at the end of the semester. All right, so first of all, this is your peer review. Of course, it will look a little bit different because it'll be on Turnitin, but these are the questions in the same order, same words, all that stuff. I just want to break them down real quick. Number one, have they provided context to understand? I say whatever argument, but you could also, do you know, do you have enough information to understand whatever text they're talking about? Now, of course, I do not want a play by play when it comes to a summary of the text. You can also approach this assignment with the idea that whoever is reading your paper is familiar with your text, with your primary text, whatever it might be. But here again, sometimes you guys will make leaps, or you just won't understand that we're not in your head, so any missing information you see like that in your partner's draft, I'd like you to note that. um, Conversely, if you feel like they have too much information, that again, especially when it comes to summary, that's definitely possible, so look for that. Number two, do they actually have an argument that addresses the prompt, avoids the pitfalls we've outlined this semester? So that's a two-parter. Number one, addresses the prompt. This is that big question we keep coming back to. What does any of this say about us as a people, a society, or culture? Now, of course, that's a very big question. Um, and we can come at that from a couple different directions. That part of the reason I give you the second part to that question, avoiding the pitfalls. What does this mean? Well, number one, you want to work to avoid banal claims, right? These are arguments that just aren't worth proving. They're arguments that, another way to think of it, you don't have to watch the movie or think about it or anything like that. It's something that we all just kind of accept, right? Another pitfall that I'll see, people just want to list like ways that a character does or does not fit certain stereotypes. That's not really an argument. That's like a BuzzFeed article, like that's not helpful either. That could be a place to start analysis. That can be a way to think about, like, not just that a character does or does not fit certain stereotypes, but the harder question, which is why. Or here again, we get to that bigger question: what does it say about us as a people, society, a culture, that this character in this context is depicted the way that they are, right? Like all of a sudden, we've gotten back to the real question. I want you to look for opportunities for that. Number three, are they avoiding summary in their body paragraphs, sticking almost exclusively to analysis? Um, there's a couple ways to think about that as well. You guys have gotten better as a whole with this, but again, bear in mind that anyone who would be reading your paper is familiar with the text, so you don't need a whole lot of background information, a whole lot of plot. I need a little bit of context for your evidence, of course, but here again, the bulk of your work, especially in the body of your paper, should be analysis, should be you explaining your ideas to me, making arguments, telling me why whatever it is you've pulled to show me matters. Number four, any details they might dig into, especially when it comes to their evidence. We talked about a little bit. We talked about this a little bit last time. Well, I mean, really all semester, um, or even before that. The example that springs to mind right now, we're talking about Logan. You know, yeah, he's drunk, and yeah, he's old, and yeah, he's struggling. But that's just kind of, it seems to be the sense throughout a lot of the movie. But in the scene we were talking about, even, that's just kind of the general mood, right? Now, if there's something the character does specifically with some of those ideas in mind that you want to talk about, then sure. But we need a detail. We need something very specific. One I highlighted when we talked about that opening scene to Logan is how preoccupied he is with the car. He even literally takes a bullet for the car, which is wild. Um, on a similar note, when we talked about Deadpool, there's a couple scenes we've talked about there, but what he says to the woman about whether or not he should hit her, right, or shoot her. I don't remember the wording now. Um, like the context is important there, you know? If he was just out on the street saying that, that'd be a very different conversation, but he's in the middle of a gunfight, fist fight type scenario. So does that change things? And why raise that question there? Like all of a sudden, again, now we're moving into the area of an argument. But that's what you got to do. You got to pinpoint very specific moments. I want you to, if you're doing a movie, for instance, I want you to pick a scene, obviously, but you can't talk about an entire scene. You can't talk about an entire exchange. You need to find a very specific thing. Something somebody says, something somebody does, the way something is shot, something you notice in the scene. You need a detail. We're thinking about this the same way we talked about Fairchild. Go all the way back to that, okay? And then last but not least, number 5, are there topic sentences, arguments that are worth proving? Do they sum up the argument in the body paragraph? So number 1, is there topic sentence and argument? And then of course, is that argument worth making? Number 2, is this the argument they actually pursue in their body paragraph? You'd be surprised, you know? Most of the time, for this question, you guys actually kind of struggle to have an argument there in the topic sentence. We've talked about this as well. Um, to my mind, what normally happens, you don't really know what you want to say yet, which is fine, you know? So you just kind of ballpark it with that first sentence. Then you give your evidence. Then you perform some kind of analysis in the body paragraph. And if that analysis is at all successful, which it isn't always when you're drafting, but if it is, you're going to figure out that argument in the body paragraph, or at least you're going to start to. So then, as a peer reviewer, whatever you might mine from their paragraph, whether it's an argument or just the start to one, that needs to be reflected in the topic sentence. And there's a good chance a lot of the time that it's not. So you want to note that. Anyway, that's the peer review stuff. Last bit of business I want to talk about. This is what we got for today and for Friday. So today is Wednesday, the 21st. You'll see it right there. Rough draft due today on Turnitin, standard stuff. Peer review we just talked about. In class, we were going to draft and we were going to do workshop. I'm going to put another video together here pretty soon. I'm going to very quickly walk you through a type of workshop. It won't be as long as a class video, so hopefully everybody will be able to watch it. But that's what's happening today. Of course, the other thing that's happening today, it's not noted on the syllabus because I decided during the semester to give you guys an opportunity to revise. If you want to revise the second paper, the informative synthesis, that is due tonight by midnight. I understand all of this, by the way, is very constrained. I do apologize for that, but as I noted way back when, that's just the nature of summer. Everything is twice as fast because we have half the amount of time to do it. So, yeah. Anyway, if you want to do that, it is optional. I do recommend it. That's due tonight. And then, of course, Friday by midnight, your final draft for paper 3. Once you get that into me, the final draft of paper 3, you're done with the class. Now, that said, I don't want anyone to necessarily rush it, you know? Like, if you need to take it kind of close to the wire there for the final paper, that is your time to use as you see fit. The flip side of that advice would be don't wait, right? Don't wait until Friday night to put whatever you have together. That feels like a really bad idea. Not least of which because you'll see the note there at the bottom. I get your papers on Friday. I have until the 26th to get them all graded, make sure all the grades are as they should be, and then post it, which is my way of saying I cannot at all entertain extensions or late work. You got to get in it on Friday. You have to. And if something does happen, because something always happens, you got to hit me up immediately. We got to figure it out. We got to figure it out fast, okay? Because there's no time for anyone. That includes me. Anyway, as I said, one more video to come after this. I want to keep these as brief as possible. I'll talk to you a little bit about workshop. I'm going to pull an example and talk about a couple things real quick just to make sure, just to hit those ideas one more time. And other than that, that's all we got. So thanks.